Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about how the YieldMax ETFs have performed in October and how our personal portfolios have performed, what the performance has been in the month of October. So let's get it. So the first thing I want to do before I get kicked out, because there's kind of a timing on how long I can be on this account without having any activity. I'm going to go ahead and go over to the M1 Finance account. So as you guys can see, we haven't really basically bought anything in Tesla since it was at $17. So we are down quite a bit in this, just under 3K, which is actually being offset somewhat by the dividends. But you guys have to understand that Tesla they basically bombed earnings, and not only did they come in below expectations, but on top of that, the Wall Street and a lot of the analysts and investors out there didn't really like what Tesla had to say on their earnings call. So it's kind of the big dump is not really necessarily the fault of the YieldMax ETFs guys. It's more of what happened with the underlying stocks. So we're gonna go ahead and go down to NVIDIA here. And the reason why I'm showing you guys our portfolios first is so you guys can understand that we're basically in this with you. You're not alone if you're out of the money, so to speak, or at an unrealized loss. Well, guess what? We are too. It's just kind of the unfortunate sentiment of the market at the moment. So you guys can see we're slightly down on NVIDIA, but not that much, just like a few bucks. We have a relatively small position in here, and we plan on adding more in the future, but that's just not going to be right now. So we got OARC here. We haven't added any to this particular portfolio in a while in OARC, so we're down a little bit, about 8.62%. And the last one that we have on here so far is actually Aptly, but we only have like a little bit, I think like one or two shares. So you can see we're only basically down $1.47 or 1.24%, but the percentage is not really that significant because like I said, we have just a couple of shares here. So that would be the M1 account. Now, as you guys can see, I can tell you guys right now, we're pretty much out of the money on all of these. As you guys can see, the YieldMax ETFs have actually had a pretty good day today, with the exception of Google. But I'm sure you guys have noticed that we sold out of NFLE. We don't have that anymore. So we actually did sell out of NFLE, and we moved the capital from NFLE into JEPY. We sold out of another one too. I'm trying to remember what that was, but I honestly, for the life of me, cannot remember what it was. But yeah, we sold out of something and then put the money in triple QY. So I'll have to go back and look at that. But for those of you guys that said Clip is dead, well, I don't know about that. It's up 3% on the day. So we'll just go ahead and take a look at Tesla, since that's everybody's favorite. So as you guys can see, we're down basically a few bucks even after the pop to the upside today. And OARC, we're still down. And yeah, I mean, we're pretty much down on all these. We do have quite a large position in Clip on here, but as you guys can see, we're like barely out of the money here. We're down basically $69 out of 2,600 in this position, so that's honestly not bad. So if we go over to Webull, you guys can see we're down currently 23%. Part of the reason why is because our swing trades, which we have not added money to in eons. I don't even know the last time we added money to this was like a couple of months ago. Our swing trade positions were down quite a bit, and we have not added any money yet because we're focusing our money on crypto and dividend stocks at the moment. But we're pretty much almost break even on Riot, slightly down out of the money on Mara. But we haven't bought any NVIDIA here in a while, so that's slightly out of the money. Clip slightly out of the money, $1 per share, so 184 shares, so we're down about 184 bucks in this position. We're down quite a bit on OARC, but we haven't bought any OARC in a while. And Our Apple shares are also down quite a bit. So, but because we only have 14 shares here, if we put some, let's say we put an extra $100 in this thing or something like that, it's going to basically pull the cost basis down to like $20 or something. So, um, generally with averaging down, the way it works is the more money that you add, like in the beginning, your average cost basis, especially if you only have a small amount in there, will only move down. I mean, it will move down huge in the beginning, but the more money you add, the less and less and less and less it will move down each time, because that's generally how it works with DCAing down during downtrends. So with that being said, let's take a look at the monthly performance on these YieldMax ETFs to kind of gauge where we're at. So let's see if we can find the beginning of October here somewhere. All right, so this green candle right here. So if we take it from the open to where we currently are, you guys can see we're down about 12.8% on Tesla. But again, this gap down was because of the earnings. Otherwise, it wouldn't be down that much. It would just be down right here. So basically barely down on the month. Let's just assume for a second that the earnings didn't come out bad and we didn't have that gap down. We'd be down 3% on the month. So wouldn't have been that bad, except earnings was kind of a little bit of a disaster, so to speak. So Coney, it looks like Coney is actually up. We're going to have to find the candle here. But yeah, it definitely looks like, okay, maybe, yeah, actually Coney is up. So we're basically flat. So with a short candle, the open is at the top of the candle, just so you all know. And with a long candle, it starts at the bottom. So we're basically down like almost nothing, about 0.4%. So if Coney, along with Coinbase, continues to move up, I mean, we could be heading straight back to this $22 level. Apple has not been doing so hot, but then again, that's because, I guess the performance of the underlying stock, Apple, has kind of been getting killed a little bit by that bearish seasonality. So Apple is basically more or less flat on the month, as you guys can see. We're pulling it from the opening candle to the last current candle. So you're not really up, but you're not down either on Apple. If we go over here to OARC, so the opening candle's right there on OARC, all the way at the top of this red candle here. Currently down roughly about 7% on OARC, so it doesn't really look so good. We'll go back and take a look at ARKK in a minute, but we're still pretty bullish on the OARC, and we're going to explain why when we pull up the chart here. But the next one would be AMZ. So you have your open here on the green candle. And yeah, on AMZ, we're basically flat because, again, the green candles open at the bottom and they close at the top, whereas the red ones are the reverse. So we're only down slightly on AMZ. FB, as you guys can see, this thing has performed pretty well. Oh yeah, I think that's the other one we sold. So we sold FB and NFLE, and we ended up moving those positions into triple QY and JEPY. That's right. So now we take a look at the open. So this is the open of the candle down here at the wick. And if we take a look at the bottom red candle, you guys can see that we're up roughly about 4% on FB. So we are actually up on one of these YieldMax ETFs. Keep that in mind. So the start of GUI here. This would be the start of GUI, this big fat green candle right here. So October 2nd to the close of GUI. Again, we're up on this one as well, about 3.5%. Microsoft, or MSFO in this case. All right, so you get your open there on the EMAs, and we get our close all the way up here. So MSFO is also up about 4%. And we got DSO. And I'm actually including the MSFO, DSO, ZOMO, and JPMO, because maybe some people that watch this channel may actually end up having those positions. I honestly don't know. So kind of trying to make sure everybody gets covered here. But As you guys can see, Google kind of tanked today, so we're still up 2.29% on the month, or on DSO, I mean. So NVIDIA, this is one that's actually held up extremely well during all this bearishness. So we're going to take a look at this. And so here's your open on that green candle right there. Close on this green candle, so we're only down roughly about 3%. That's not bad. Enflea, I mean, this one has kind of killed it in the last few days. It's been pretty up there in terms of bullishness. So currently we are up about 6% on Enflea. Again, we don't have this position. We just sold it to buy some JEPY. But for people that are in this position, congrats, you're in the money. Most likely, I mean, if you bought at the bottom. So Zomo is down, as you guys can see. 6.78%. I think I actually kind of messed that up a little bit. So the open of the candle is at the top. So yeah, it's about 8%. But I mean, again, oil's been kind of getting crushed a little bit. So we'll take a quick peek at that as well. JPMO is basically, well, it's not doing so good. So JPMO is down roughly about 4.39%. But if we go to JPM, so JP Morgan Chase, as you guys can see, it's kind of been getting killed too. So we did actually used to own JP Morgan, but we kind of sold, I think, like back in here somewhere. But yeah, as you guys can see, it had a topping and then it just kind of fell off and then chopped sideways, so to speak. So it is reflecting in the price, just so you all know. So that covers all the YieldMax ETFs. We're going to take a quick look also at the okay, so my bad, there's actually, so there's two more. So Squee, well, I mean, obviously if you guys look at the chart, it wasn't available at the beginning of October, but you guys can see we're down slightly. So basically from this candle to the top of this candle, we're down about 1.51%. And AMDY, which has been out for a little while, you guys can see that we're also down about 2.4% on AMDY. So the conclusion from all of this is that these YieldMax ETFs have actually held up pretty well in October. We kind of thought that the bearishness was going to be over in the middle of October, but it kind of poured into the end of the month. Historically, the absolute latest time frame in October usually that markets start to turn around is around today or tomorrow. The 24th to the 25th is usually like the absolute bottom, worst case scenario. And then we start heading up because, you know, Halloween's next week and then so on and so on. But yeah, I mean, assuming that we get a green month next month in December, like it historically is during bull market years, then we should expect to have some pretty juicy upside on these funds. So triple QY, as you guys can see, starting on the month, is basically actually flat, pretty much. So it's not up, but it's not down. September was pretty bearish. So, I mean, you guys look at this and say, oh, this is NAV erosion. Guys, it's not NAV erosion. It's literally tracking the index. And the indexes were going down in September, which they always do. Even in bull market years, usually September is a very bearish month. We've been telling you this for I don't know how long. So, and JEPY, if we look at it from the open to the close, we're down a little bit more on JPY, so 1.43%, but that's not bad. Again, you're getting a 65% yield or 55% yield, so wouldn't really think it would be that big of a deal if you're only down 1.4% on the month, right? So with that being said, we will take a look at ARKK real quick. Something I want you guys to keep in mind with ARKK, if we roll out to the weekly here, you need to understand that the ARK Innovation Fund is heavily invested in Tesla and Coinbase, and those are both very volatile, but also understand that a lot of the companies that they own are based out of the Russell 2000, and the Russell 2000 has kind of been getting killed. because as you guys know, when the Fed raises rates, it makes it more expensive for businesses and individuals to borrow. And the Russell 2000 is comprised of the smallest companies in the United States, okay? The smallest, which means that they have less capital to work with, which means it's way more expensive for them to borrow because they don't have like several $100 billion in cash set on the side like Apple does, okay? So they're going to be feeling the pain the worst. But as you guys can see, we're kind of bottoming out here. So pretty much what we want to look for at ARKK, there's two signs we really want to look for. Number one, we want to see a golden cross on the weekly on the MACD. And number two, we want to see a green close above all three of these EMAs. And then we want to see all three EMAs cross to the upside. And we want to see probably a close above this high right here too. So anything with a green close above $52, that's basically bull market territory right there. And the last thing I wanted to look at with you guys is oil. So in terms of Zomo is based on ExxonMobil. You guys know that's an oil company. So if we take a look at the chart of oil since the start of October, it's kind of been getting killed a little bit. So here's the start of October. As you guys can see, we're down about 9% on oil in the futures market. So anyways, this is how the overall markets have performed for the YieldMax ETFs in the month of October. Will we go up? Let us know if you guys think that this month and next month is going to be bullish. And if you guys plan on buying more, if you're going to sell out, if you're bearish, whatever the case is, let us know. And if you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. So anyways, please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you all later. Peace.